I was asked to settle a debate, Cancun or Punta Cana for a destination wedding, which one was better? I can't answer that question, but I kind of was put on the spot, and my answer really kind of settled the debate because I said Cancun for your wedding, Punta Cana for your honeymoon. If you stick with me in this video, I'm going to talk about why I think Cancun is better for a destination wedding over Punta Cana. We'll talk real numbers and I'll tell you exactly why based off of my opinion, which is I'm a wedding planner, have been for the past 10 years, and I do destination weddings in Mexico and the Caribbean for a living, and this is kind of what I do. Each one wins in its own right. You're not going to, have a bad experience for both. They win on food, they win on culture, but the honest truth is really about the weddings part. Vendors and the situations where sometimes I flip my answers depending on the question, but my verdict up front is that if you're in the Northeast, New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, right? Like that area, I think Mexico and Cancun is better for the wedding. Why? Because of its ease of accessibility. Punta Cana is a very high number 2. And don't get me wrong, it's not like a overall winner, but there is a frame that makes the decision click, which is Cancun is where I would lean towards for a wedding, whereas Punta Cana I would lean towards for a honeymoon. They're different vibes, and once you see it the way I do, maybe it might help you make a decision on which one to choose. So the biggest deciding factor for me was ease of access, right? But it's also in terms of your guests, right? Remember, destination weddings are a big ask. So if you're asking your guests to essentially go on vacation, Cancun wins because the Northeast and most of the country really has access to Cancun for a lot less than they would other areas. Flight packages, just overall ease of access makes Cancun better. When you're getting 60 people from here and there and back again, it's just easier to coordinate. And then on the wedding side, Mexico typically runs a little less expensive than Punta Cana. Like on paper, I think it wins, right? So you're cheaper for your guests and then you're cheaper for your wedding. A typical destination wedding in Mexico runs around $25,000 depending on different factors. I made a whole video going over costs of destination weddings. You can see the link below. Punta Cana is around the same, so it's not going to cost much less, but I think you get more for your money in Mexico than you do in the DR. And then once you add in all the other costs, your guests' flights, your hotel stay, etc., again, Cancun wins because just by the numbers game, Cancun wins because the numbers are less than the DR. And by the way, don't get me wrong, don't think that the cheapest package means you have a cheap wedding. No, absolutely not. Like I said, you get more bang for your buck with Mexico. And then the other one is going to be food and culture. I think they both win with food and culture, but I think Cancun wins because of food options. It's funny how many times I have clients who say, and you have to answer a questionnaire when you have to make an appointment with me, that food is the most important thing for their guests, for their wedding. And so if food is the most important thing for you and your guests for your wedding, then Cancun wins. That's it. It's a wedding group. It's a wedding trip. You have to entertain the group, and Mexico has it. They have so many different options and cuisines, and they do them so well that I think that's why it wins out. Punta Cana is gorgeous and it's beautiful, and it has high-end luxe properties and makes it phenomenal. I love them. However, I do think that vibe is more honeymoon vibe than it is wedding vibe. By the way, if you're actively deciding which of these two options works for you, save yourself the scrolling and millions of hours on the different chat boards that you're in, and go ahead and look for my link down below. We can discuss which resorts you're looking at, and I can tell you my honest opinions about them, and see if maybe I can help. The link's in the description. Okay, so finally, when it comes to settling this debate, Cancun versus Punta Cana, we have to look at vendors, especially since we're talking about weddings, right? And here's where I actually flip my answer. Vendors, quality vendors, I would say they're about the same. Photographers, DJs, florists, both markets are mature and very professional, but I think that Punta Cana has a very high number of options overall as opposed to Mexico, which usually only gives you one option per resort. That's the only time I'll flip. I do think that Punta Cana gives you a little bit more variety in terms of your vendors. So, like I said, Cancun versus Punta Cana. In terms of a wedding, I vote Cancun. In terms of a honeymoon, I say Punta Cana. Cancun wins on logistics, food, and culture, but Punta Cana is a very high number 2 on my list. And given a day, given the time frame, given the season, I might even change my answer. So take that with a grain of salt. What I do know is that if you are struggling with finding a resort, you shouldn't be doing the searching on your own. You should be working with someone. And if you want someone to work with, make sure you check my description down below for a link to my website. You can read a few blogs there or just book a call and we can discuss what you're thinking about.